Side of the village, deep beneath the earth, hidden within the underground headquarters of Root, silence ruled the dimly lit tunnels. The heavy stone doors slid open. A Root ninja appeared in a blur of motion before dropping to one knee. "Denzo-sama!" His voice echoed through the chamber. "According to our sources, Uchiha Akira has just returned from the daimyo estate." Danzo slowly raised his head from the documents spread across his desk. The masked shinobi continued. "According to our sources, he intends to impeach third Hokage." For a brief moment, the room fell deathly silent. Then Danzo's lone visible eye widened. "What?" He slammed his hand onto the desk. "They dare?" His expression twisted with barely concealed fury. "That Uchiha Akira, ever since the day he appeared, he has done nothing but sabotage every one of my plans." His voice became colder with every word. "Dust, and that damned Hiruzen, he keeps allowing the Uchiha to do whatever they want." Disgust flashed across Danzo's face. "He no longer possesses the resolve required of a Hokage." The Root ninja lowered his head even further. "Danzo-sama, there is one more matter." Danzo frowned. "Speak." An individual wearing an orange spiral mask contacted us. He claims he is Uchiha Madara. He says he can help us destroy the Uchiha clan. The moment the name left the shinobi's mouth, the color drained from Danzo's face. His body stiffened. "What?" He slowly rose from his chair. "Uchiha Madara?" "Yes, Danzo-sama." Before another word could be spoken, a distorted ripple suddenly appeared beside Danzo. Space itself seemed to twist. An orange spiral-masked man materialized as though he had stepped out of another dimension. Danzo's heart nearly stopped. Without hesitation, he vanished in a burst of speed. Body flicker jutsu. He reappeared several meters away, his hand already reaching for the weapon beneath his robes. His single eye burned with hostility. "Who are you? How did you enter this headquarters without anyone noticing?" The orange-masked man chuckled. His laughter echoed unnaturally through the underground chamber. "I am Uchiha Madara." He tilted his masked head slightly. "And finding you was easy. I simply followed one of your informants." Danzo's expression darkened. "But how? How did you appear here without making a single sound?" The masked man laughed again. "There are many more things I can do." His voice suddenly turned calm, but that isn't important. What matters is that the Uchiha have become far too powerful. A brief silence followed before he continued. "And I can help you destroy them." Danzo narrowed his eye. "Why should I believe you?" The masked man folded his arms behind his back. "I wish to weaken Konoha. And to accomplish that, the strongest force within the village must fall first." He paused deliberately. "And you are far more dangerous to Konoha alive than dead." Danzo's face darkened. "What do you mean by that?" The masked man answered without hesitation. "I mean exactly what I said. If there is anyone capable of destroying the Uchiha, it is you." His tone became almost mocking. "I believe Sarutobi Hiruzen is spineless. He lacks the resolve to make the difficult decisions that a Hokage must make." For the first time since the conversation began, Danzo looked at the masked man differently. Finally, someone understood. The masked man continued. "As you already know, the Uchiha are preparing to submit a proposal to elect a new Hokage." He raised one finger. "The two village elders are far too old to become Hokage. You are the only choice." Danzo's visible eye brightened. A dangerous light flashed within it. "I can become Hokage?" For an instant, ambition overwhelmed him, but he quickly forced himself to calm down. His expression returned to its usual coldness. "What's in it for you?" The masked man answered almost immediately. "You don't need to know." Behind the spiral mask, however, another thought crossed his mind. "I seek true peace, and for that peace to exist, the Uchiha must disappear. They have become far too powerful for this world." Danzo stared at him for several long seconds. Finally, he spoke. "Do you think I am some kind of fool, that I would believe everything you say?" His voice thundered across the chamber. "Guards, kill him!" In an instant, more than 20 elite Root shinobi burst from every hidden corner of the underground base. Like shadows coming to life, they attacked simultaneously. Blades flashed, kunai flew, explosive tags ignited. Every attack struck the masked man, only to pass harmlessly through his body. It was as though he were nothing more than an illusion. Standing calmly within his intangible state, the masked man let out another quiet laugh. "Think carefully about my proposal," his voice echoed throughout the chamber. "You will need me. I will return." He casually tossed a scroll onto the stone floor. "When that time comes, use this scroll to summon me, Donzo." As soon as the scroll landed, his body twisted into a spiraling vortex. Within seconds, he vanished without leaving the slightest trace behind. The underground headquarters fell silent. Donzo's expression remained frozen. Then he suddenly roared, "Seal this entire safe house! Place a space-time barrier around it immediately! Move!" The Root Shinobi disappeared to carry out the order without hesitation. Donzo glanced once more at the scroll lying on the floor. His visible eye narrowed thoughtfully. Without another word, he turned around and walked deeper into the underground headquarters, his mind already racing with countless possibilities. Moments later, Donzo left the underground Root headquarters and made his way toward the Hokage Tower. His expression had already returned to his usual calmness, hiding every trace of the conversation that had just taken place. Without announcing himself, Donzo pushed open the door and walked straight inside. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up from the mountain of documents covering his desk. His brows furrowed slightly. "Donzo, what brings you here in such a hurry?" Danzo's lips curled into a faint smile. "Hiruzen, do you know the latest news?" Hiruzen set his brush aside. "What news?" Danzo's smile widened ever so slightly. "You are being impeached. The daimyo has already approved it. He has decided that you are no longer fit to remain Hokage." For the first time in years, genuine shock appeared on Hiruzen's face. "What?" His eyes widened. "To who is trying to impeach me?" Donzo answered without hesitation. "The Uchiha. They have already received official approval, and many of the village's clans are supporting them." Hiruzen slowly leaned back in his chair. Disappointment filled his aged eyes. "So, after everything I have done for this village, this is how they choose to repay me." He closed his eyes for a brief moment before speaking again. "I should bring Jiraiya back as soon as possible." Across the room, Donzo's expression remained calm, but beneath that composed exterior, anger surged. "Jiraiya, even now, he still doesn't consider me." Suppressing his irritation, Donzo spoke evenly. "And what about me?" Hiruzen looked at his old friend in silence for nearly a full minute. Finally, he slowly shook his head. "No, Donzo, we are both old. It is time for the younger generation to take the reins." A small smile appeared on Hiruzen's face. "Jiraiya has spent most of his life outside the village. He may not even be willing to remain in Konoha permanently. If necessary, he can temporarily hand authority over to the previous Hokage while he travels again." Hiruzen smiled to himself, clearly pleased with what he believed was a clever solution. Donzo watched him quietly. Inside, however, his thoughts were anything but calm. "You cunning old bastard. Right now, the Uchiha are the greatest obstacle. Once they are eliminated, and once I possess the power of their Sharingan, no one will be able to stop me from becoming Hokage." Keeping those thoughts hidden, Donzo asked calmly, "Do you really think Jiraiya can win the election? The Uchiha have tremendous momentum right now." "Absolutely not!" Hiruzen's voice rose sharply. "That can never happen." His expression hardened. "Donzo, do whatever is necessary. Destroy the Uchiha's reputation. We cannot allow power to slip from our hands." Donzo narrowed his eyes slightly. "And what is the real reason the Uchiha have gained so much momentum?" Hiruzen answered bitterly. "Uchiha Akira." The name alone seemed to sour his mood. Danzo spoke slowly. "What if Uchiha Akira were to die suddenly?" Hiruzen froze. "What? You mean kill him?" For several seconds, the office fell silent. Then Hiruzen frowned. "But if Uchiha Akira dies, the Uchiha will certainly rebel." Donzo nodded. "And isn't that exactly what you need?" "If they rebel, you can crush them openly. You can confiscate all of their businesses. It would be the perfect excuse to eliminate the entire clan."
Hiruzen's eyes slowly widened. He had never considered it from that perspective. If that happened, the village would remain completely under my control. The newly developed commercial district would belong to the village. Even that tallest building, that luxurious penthouse overlooking all of Konoha, a Hokage should reside there. From its highest floor, I could watch over the entire village. As those thoughts crossed his mind, a faint smile unconsciously appeared on his face. Danzo noticed every change in Hiruzen's expression. He remained silent. Like a cunning politician he was, he already knew exactly how to guide people toward the conclusion he wanted. After a long pause, Hiruzen finally asked, "How will you do it, Danzo? Uchiha Akira rarely leaves his district. How do you intend to kill him inside his own estate?" Danzo's expression remained unreadable. "You don't need to concern yourself with that. I'll handle it. You simply prepare to take control of the Uchiha district." With those final words, Danzo vanished from the office in an instant. Only a faint gust of wind remained behind. Hiruzen sat alone in silence. His eyes drifted toward the village outside the window, while countless calculations filled his mind. Back beneath Konoha, hidden within the labyrinth of tunnels that formed Root headquarters, Danzo returned to his private chamber. The heavy stone door shut behind him with a deep rumble. Without sitting down, he called out coldly, "Guard." A Root shinobi instantly appeared from the shadows and dropped to one knee. "Danzo-sama." Danzo's single eye remained fixed ahead. "Bring me the scroll that the masked man left behind this morning." At once, the shinobi disappeared. A few moments later, he returned, respectfully holding the scroll with both hands before presenting it to Danzo. Surprisingly, Danzo made no move to take it. Instead, he looked at the kneeling shinobi and ordered, "Use it. Summon him." The Root ninja hesitated for only an instant before bowing his head. "As you command." He carefully unrolled the scroll across the stone floor. After forming a series of hand seals, he slammed his palm onto the summoning formula. A cloud of smoke erupted through the chamber. The surrounding space suddenly twisted into a spiraling vortex. Out of the distortion stepped the orange spiral-masked man. The moment he appeared, he spread his arms with a cheerful laugh. "Well, well, Danzo, I didn't expect you to summon me this soon." Dismissively, Danzo merely snorted. He ignored the greeting entirely. His expression remained cold and businesslike. "I have a question." The masked man tilted his head. "Oh?" Danzo narrowed his eye. "Can you eliminate Uchiha Akira? I've heard he possesses only a one Tomoe Sharingan. He shouldn't be particularly strong." He paused before continuing. "However, he is surrounded by multiple Uchiha Jonin day and night. I need someone capable of entering and leaving that estate unnoticed." His eye locked onto the orange mask. "Someone like you." The masked man let out a quiet chuckle. "That's easy. I can do it whenever I wish." His confidence was absolute. Danzo's gaze became even colder. "Then kill him. I'll inform you of the rest of the plan later." His voice carried not the slightest hint of hesitation. "When the time comes, we will massacre the Uchiha." For a brief moment, silence filled the underground chamber. Then, the masked man slowly smiled beneath his spiral mask. "Well said, Danzo." Before anyone could react, his body began twisting into a spiraling vortex. Within seconds, he disappeared as suddenly as he had arrived. The chamber became silent once again. Danzo stared at the empty space where the masked man had been standing. His face slowly darkened. Damn that arrogant bastard. His visible eye narrowed dangerously. "Once the Uchiha are gone, you'll be next. No traitor who conspires against Konoha will be allowed to live. I'll kill you soon enough." His cold voice echoed through the empty chamber before he turned and walked away, already planning the next stage of his scheme. Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, night had completely fallen over Konoha. The Uchiha clan's main meeting hall was brightly illuminated, yet the atmosphere inside was unusually heavy. At the center sat Uchiha Akira. Beside him was clan head Uchiha Fugaku. Around them were the 12 Uchiha elders, while nearly 30 elite Uchiha Jonin stood silently along the walls, listening to every word. The fate of both the clan and the village was being decided within these walls. After several moments of silence, Fugaku finally spoke. "Akira, What if Jiraiya or Tsunade becomes Hokage? His expression remained serious. They also have tremendous support. Tsunade is the only surviving princess of the Senju clan. The villagers still deeply respect the first Hokage. If she returns, she will be a formidable opponent. Earlier, they had nodded in agreement. Akira, however, remained completely calm. I know.
He folded his hands together. Tsunade would indeed be our greatest competitor. But you don't need to worry about her. Everyone looked toward him. Akira continued calmly. As all of you know, there is no longer a Senju clan within Konoha. Although the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, dissolved the clan and ordered its members to integrate into the village by abandoning the Senju name, deep down, Tsunade knows something.
He paused. She knows there are no Senju left in Konoha. The room suddenly became silent. Akira's eyes narrowed slightly. At first, she only suspected it, but after the death of her younger brother, she became certain. The village's higher authorities had been eliminating the Senju. What? Fugaku stood up in shock. The 12 elders were equally stunned. What do you mean there are no Senju? Even if they change their family names, they still live within the village, don't they? Akira smiled faintly. Do they? His eyes slowly swept across everyone in the room. Then call one. The hall became quiet. We're all gathered here. Send someone outside. Bring me a single Senju currently living in Konoha under another surname. The elders frowned. They instinctively looked toward one another. No one spoke. An uncomfortable silence spread through the hall. Finally, one of the elders broke it. What happened to the Senju? Akira slowly leaned back in his chair. You all know Tobirama's philosophy. He believed that if one clan controlled the Hokage position for too long, that Hokage would eventually favor his own clan over the village. That was why he dissolved the Senju clan. He ordered its members to abandon the Senju name and become ordinary citizens. He also deliberately chose commoners as his disciples. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, the two village elders. He believed that a commoner could lead the village more fairly than someone representing a powerful clan.
That is why he appointed Hiruzen Sarutobi as the third Hokage. Akira paused before continuing. And later, Hiruzen followed the same philosophy. When he selected Namikaze Minato, he also chose a commoner. Akira nodded slightly. That decision itself was not wrong. In fact, it was probably one of Hiruzen's best decisions. His expression gradually turned colder.
But there was one problem. Hiruzen Sarutobi could never let go of power. His greed for authority was simply too great. The room grew even quieter. After a moment, Akira continued. After becoming Hokage, Hiruzen feared that one day the scattered Senju would reunite. They would reject living ordinary lives. They would rebuild their clan. And if they became powerful once again, like the Uchiha or the Hyuga, they would inevitably demand the Hokage position. Akira looked around the room. Hiruzen never wanted that possibility to exist. So, during the First Shinobi World War, he placed the Senju on the front lines. They became the first wave of assault. Nearly 80% of the Senju perished in that war. The atmosphere inside the meeting hall instantly turned heavy. Several elders unconsciously clenched their fists. Akira continued. Then came the second stage. During the Second Shinobi World War, he deployed nearly all of the remaining Senju. This time, none of them returned. What? Several elders stood up simultaneously. No one came back? How is that possible? Even if most of them died, surely someone should have survived. There should have been wounded, captured, at least one survivor. How could every single one disappear? Akira slowly raised a finger. That is the mysterious part. Not a single Senju ninja returned. He let the silence linger. Then a faint smile appeared on his face. But do you want to hear the most interesting part? Everyone stared at him. After the First Shinobi World War, when nearly 80% of the Senju had already died, the remaining Senju became afraid. They personally requested additional protection from Hiruzen before being sent into the Second Shinobi World War. Akira's eyes turned ice cold. So, Hiruzen assigned Danzo's Root Division to protect them. The moment those words left his mouth, the expressions of everyone inside the meeting hall changed. Several elders' faces darkened instantly.
One elder's fist smashed into the armrest of his chair. That is beyond ruthless. Another elder gritted his teeth. Damn it, that is filthy. The hall was filled with suppressed anger. Fugaku remained completely silent. A chill slowly ran down his spine. His breathing unconsciously became heavier. Was that the future awaiting the Uchiha? Had we continued blindly trusting the Hokage, would we have met exactly the same fate? His gaze slowly shifted toward Akira. For the first time that night, genuine gratitude appeared in his eyes. Thank goodness. Because of Akira, perhaps our clan has avoided that tragedy. Otherwise, a day might have come when the Uchiha were massacred within our own clan grounds, and we would have been powerless to stop it.
Still, the meeting hall remained silent. Every elder was still digesting the shocking revelations Akira had just presented. After several moments, Fugaku finally broke the silence. But he looked directly at Akira. What does all of this have to do with Tsunade not becoming Hokage? Akira calmly replied, "It has everything to do with her younger brother and her lover, Don Kato." The room fell quiet once again. Akira continued. During the Second Shinobi World War, Nawaki Senju died after running into an explosive trap. Even though Orochimaru was assigned to protect him, several elders frowned. However, his death has always been mysterious. When a group of Konoha shinobi advanced toward the battlefield, someone had already planted explosive tags along Konoha's own route. They detonated while the troops were still inside fire country. Multiple Konoha shinobi were killed instantly. Although Orochimaru survived, the incident greatly shocked him. Akira paused briefly. I believe that was one of the moments that pushed Orochimaru toward researching immortality. He witnessed death at extremely close range. He himself survived by only a hair's breadth. One of the elders frowned deeply. But how could explosive tags appear there? I heard the explosion occurred while they were still within Konoha's territory. Akira nodded. Exactly. That is the strange part. According to the official records, route shinobi had already been dispatched to inspect and clear that route before the troops departed. The entire hall fell silent. Every elder stared at Akira. Are you serious? One elder slowly stood up. Akira, that is an extremely serious accusation. Without saying another word, Akira formed a hand seal. A cloud of smoke appeared. Poof! A thick register landed on the table. He gently placed his hand on it. Elders, this is the official wartime deployment register. It records what happened, when it happened, and who was assigned. You only need to compare the timelines. One elder immediately stepped forward. Without hesitation, he snatched the register from the table. He rapidly flipped through its pages. The room became completely silent. Nearly 2 minutes passed. Finally, he slowly raised his head. Another elder immediately asked, "What did you find?" The elder swallowed before answering. "It's recorded here. Root was indeed sent to inspect that route before the troops departed." The atmosphere instantly became heavy. Shock appeared on every face. No one expected the records to match Akira's words. Before anyone could recover, Akira calmly raised another finger. And then, there is the most tragic death of them all. Don Kato. Another elder frowned.
What happened to Dan? Didn't he die fighting enemy shinobi? He narrowed his eyes. Or are you suggesting that his death was also part of a conspiracy? Akira slowly shook his head. I'm not certain. I have no direct proof regarding Dan. But if Dan had married Tsunade, he would have gained tremendous political momentum. He was a respected commoner and the husband of the Senju princess. That alone would have made him an ideal Hokage candidate. Akira allowed those words to sink in before asking, "Clan leader, when we fight on the battlefield, what is our primary objective?" The question hung in the air. The elders looked at one another, confused. Finally, Fugaku answered, "We try to kill as many enemy shinobi as possible so that fewer of our comrades are injured." Akira nodded. "Correct." Then he asked another question. "If an enemy is already critically wounded and can no longer fight, would you continue attacking that same person, or would you move on to another enemy?" Several elders immediately scoffed. "What kind of question is that? Of course we attack new enemies. There is no point wasting time finishing off someone who can no longer fight. We can always deal with him after the battle. The other elders nodded in agreement. Akira looked around the room. Exactly. He paused. Then do you know how many wounds were found on Don Kato's body? Confusion spread across every face. No one answered. Akira quietly said, 12. What? The elders were stunned. 12? Who would attack the same person 12 times in an active battlefield? Akira continued. Exactly. When Don was critically injured, Tsunade reached him within a minute. But by then, he had already lost too much blood. She couldn't save him. His voice became noticeably softer. That single moment shattered her. She developed severe hemophobia. Every time she sees blood, she remembers the day Dan died. Akira's eyes grew colder. It was almost as if someone wanted to make absolutely certain that Tsunade would never be able to save him. Silence. Complete silence. One by one, the pieces slowly connected in everyone's minds. Even the elders who had doubted Akira earlier could no longer dismiss his reasoning outright. One elder sighed deeply. So, that is why she abandoned medicine. What a tragedy. We lost one of the greatest medical ninja this village has ever produced. Several elders lowered their heads. Nearby, Shisui and Itachi exchanged brief glances. Neither interrupted. Both silently continued listening. Akira nodded. That's right. Over time, Tsunade also began connecting these same dots. She searched throughout Konoha for surviving members of the Senju. When she couldn't find even one, her suspicions became certainty. He looked around the hall. At present, she harbors immense hatred toward Hiruzen Sarutobi and the village's upper leadership. I believe she wants every one of them dead. Several elders inhaled sharply. But there is one thing stopping her. Akira's voice softened. She refuses to destroy the village her grandfather built. She knows that if she kills Hiruzen and the elders, Konoha would descend into chaos. The resulting conflict would inflict tremendous damage upon the village. So instead, she tries to escape. Gambling became her only refuge. It is the only thing capable of distracting her from those painful memories. As for becoming Hokage, Akira gave a faint smile. She understands one thing very well. People who cling to power never willingly surrender it. I doubt she could stop herself from punching Hiruzen in the face if she had to meet the village's upper leadership every day. A few elders couldn't help but smile bitterly. Akira shrugged. And honestly, I believe that if Tsunade became Hokage, it would probably be better for everyone. At the very least, she has never shown any significant prejudice toward the Uchiha. One elder raised another question. Then, will Tsunade never return to the village? Wouldn't that be a tremendous loss for Konoha? Akira nodded slowly. She will return. The certainty in his voice surprised everyone, but only in the future. When the current upper leadership is gone, she will definitely come back. He looked toward the moonlit window, but for now, that is impossible. Fugaku remained silent for a long moment before asking the question everyone had been thinking. What about Jiraiya? The hall instantly fell quiet. Compared to the other candidates, Jiraiya possessed overwhelming prestige. His reputation as one of the legendary Sannin, his countless military achievements, and his close relationship with the third Hokage made him a terrifying contender. He also has tremendous momentum. Fugaku continued. If he decides to compete for the position of Hokage, what are our chances? All eyes turned toward Uchiha Akihara.
Akira nodded slowly. Jiraiya is a serious threat. If he truly stands against us, there is a very real possibility that we could lose. The atmosphere instantly became heavy. However, a faint smile appeared on Akira's face. But I don't believe Jiraiya wants to become Hokage. What? Several elders frowned simultaneously. One elder couldn't help but ask, why wouldn't he? Some people can't become Hokage because they lack the qualifications.
But someone who can become the Hokage doesn't want the position? What kind of nonsense is that? Many nodded in agreement. To them, the Hokage's seat represented the highest honor in the village. Who would willingly reject it? Akira calmly explained,
It's because of Jiraiya's personality. He isn't the type of man who can sit behind a desk all day. He loves freedom. He enjoys wandering across the ninja world, gathering intelligence, writing his novels, training disciples, and experiencing life. Locking someone like him inside the Hokage office would be worse than imprisonment.
The elders considered his words. That actually sounded like Jiraiya. Akira continued. More importantly, Jiraiya isn't stupid. He knows exactly what Hiruzen and Danzo did. He knows what happened to Tsunade, and he also knows what happened to Orochimaru. Because of that, I doubt he even wants to see their faces. That's one of the reasons he has remained outside the village for so many years, under the excuse of searching for Orochimaru. The room became quiet.
Then another elder frowned. What happened to Orochimaru? I've heard countless rumors, but never anything concrete. What exactly did Hiruzen and Danzo do? Akira slowly leaned back before speaking. You all know that Orochimaru's greatest obsession has always been immortality. To pursue that dream, he required enormous funding, advanced laboratories, and countless experimental subjects. At that time, following the devastating losses of the First Shinobi World War, Hiruzen and the Konoha Council officially approved research involving the first Hokage's DNA.
The objective was simple: to artificially recreate the legendary wood release. If Konoha could mass-produce shinobi possessing Hashirama's power, the village's military strength would increase dramatically. The entire council chamber erupted. They experimented on the first Hokage's body? How could they disturb the dead like that? This is outrageous! Akira calmly nodded. That wasn't the only reason. Hiruzen also feared something. Everyone looked toward him. The Uchiha clan. Silence. If another Uchiha awakened the Mangekyu Sharingan, what could stop them? The answer was simple: wood release. The very power that once suppressed Madara Uchiha. Several elders unconsciously clenched their fists. None of them liked hearing that. In one corner of the hall, Shisui and Itachi exchanged silent glances. Even they had never heard this part of Konoha's history. Akira continued. For those experiments, Orochimaru required an enormous number of human test subjects. During wartime, enemy prisoners could be legally used. No one questioned it. But once the war ended, finding suitable subjects became extremely difficult. The project itself was completely legal in its early stages. However, the results were disastrous. Adult bodies rejected Hashirama's cells, their flesh rapidly transformed into wood. Some became twisted trees while still alive. Others died from uncontrollable cellular rejection. The room became eerily silent. Everyone could almost imagine the horrifying deaths. Akira spoke again. Later, Orochimaru discovered something. A child's body possesses extraordinary regenerative potential. The younger the body, the greater the chance of surviving cellular adaptation. As soon as those words left his mouth, every expression inside the hall darkened. Even the battle-hardened Uchiha Jonin felt chills. Shisui frowned deeply. Itachi became colder than ever. Akira looked around before continuing. So, the research shifted. They began experimenting on war orphans. No one spoke. Many elders slowly lowered their heads. Even those who usually supported Konoha's leadership looked uncomfortable. Akira continued. Eventually, Hiruzen himself realized the experiments had become too horrific. The casualties were overwhelming. The research remained unstable, so he officially banned the project. He ordered every remaining sample sealed and declared all future research forbidden. Several elders unconsciously relaxed. So at least the third Hokage did stop it. At least he still had a conscience. Others nodded in agreement. Then Akira paused. The silence lasted several seconds before calmly saying, "But the research never actually stopped." The entire hall froze. Akira's eyes became ice cold. Orochimaru and Danzo secretly revived the project underground. This time, they crossed a line from which there was no return. They kidnapped 60 infant children. They believed newborn bodies would integrate Hashirama's cells more successfully.
A murderous aura spread across the council hall. Several Uchiha Jonin instinctively released killing intent. Even the elders could no longer remain calm. Children? They experimented on babies? Those bastards. Suddenly, one elder slammed his palm onto the table. Nonsense. What proof do you have? These are nothing but baseless rumors. You are slandering the highest leadership of Konoha. Akira didn't become angry. Instead, he smiled. You want proof? Very well. He slowly turned toward the back of the hall. Shisui, come here. Shisui blinked. Me? He stepped forward respectfully before bowing. Elder Akira. Akira looked directly into his eyes. You served within the Anbu. Tell everyone, do you knew someone with the code name Tenzo? The moment he heard that name, Shisui's pupils contracted slightly. Yes, I know him. Akira nodded. What is his chakra nature? Fire? Lightning? Wind? Water? Shisui thought carefully before answering. I've never seen him use any of the 5 basic elemental releases. Akira smiled. Exactly. He pushed another file across the table. This is Tenzo's personnel record. The nearest elder opened it. Akira spoke calmly. Tenzo possesses wood release. He has strict orders never to display it publicly. When Hiruzen raided Orochimaru's laboratory after his defection, Tenzo was one of the surviving children. He has no known family, no clan. His background is completely clean, and despite being only 11 years old, he has already been registered as a Jonin. The elders' expressions gradually changed. After investing so many resources into cultivating their own clans, even the Uchiha could barely guarantee 50 Jonin. Yet, an 11-year-old orphan had already become one. How terrifying was his talent? One elder slowly closed the file. So they actually succeeded. They created a wood release user, and we never even knew. Another elder immediately asked, but you still haven't explained. What exactly did the 3rd Hokage do to Orochimaru? Akira nodded. Do you all remember? Who became the 4th Hokage? Everyone looked at him as if the answer were obvious. Namikaze Minato. Akira nodded. Correct. But tell me, at that time, who was actually the strongest candidate for Hokage? The answer came almost instantly. Orochimaru. Akira smiled. Exactly. There was no doubt. His achievements, his strength, his reputation, everything surpassed Minato. So why wasn't he chosen? The room became quiet. Akira answered his own question. Because Hiruzen knew. He knew Orochimaru and Danzo had become partners. He knew the underground experiments were still continuing. He also knew if Orochimaru became Hokage, he might ignore Hiruzen completely. Worse, he might side with Danzo instead. A Jonin suddenly interrupted. Wait, are you saying Hiruzen knew the illegal experiments were continuing and deliberately allowed them? Akira looked directly at him. Hiruzen is not a fool. He controls Konoha's budget. He knows exactly where the village's money goes. Do you really believe enormous secret laboratories could operate for years without the Hokage noticing? The Jonin fell silent. Akira continued. He investigated. He absolutely knew, but he didn't stop it. Because if the experiments succeeded, Konoha would gain an unimaginable military weapon. And if they failed, he could simply deny everything. Blame Danzo. Blame Orochimaru. It was a perfect political gamble, a win regardless of the outcome. The elders slowly clenched their fists. Akira continued. That is also why, when Orochimaru was finally exposed, Hiruzen's first priority wasn't execution. He simply wanted Orochimaru detained, only until Minato officially assumed the Hokage's office. But Orochimaru understood everything. He knew Hiruzen intended to discard him after exploiting years of research. So, he fled the village. Akira shook his head. The ironic part, Orochimaru never truly cared about becoming Hokage. If he had accepted the position, the first thing he would have done was divert even more of Konoha's budget into scientific research. There has only ever been one thing that truly mattered to Orochimaru: immortality. Everything else was secondary. He looked around the room, and Jiraiya knows all of this. He knows what happened to Orochimaru. He knows what happened to Tsunade. He knows what happened to several clans. He couldn't support Hiruzen, but he also couldn't bring himself to openly oppose the village he loved. So, he chose a third option. He left.
Officially, he remained outside the village searching for Orochimaru. In reality, it was an infinite leave. He simply distanced himself from Konoha's politics. Silence once again filled the council hall. Finally, an elder spoke. But what if he returns? He could become Hokage, and after taking the position, he could simply leave again.
Akira nodded. That is entirely possible, which is precisely why I called him our greatest competitor. The elder's expressions became serious. One jonin asked, "Then what do we do if he really returns?" Akira's lips slowly curved into a mysterious smile. "If that day comes, we simply destroy his reputation." The room blinked. Destroy his reputation? How? Akira only chuckled. "Leave that to me." No one noticed the strange look hidden deep within his eyes. Inwardly, Akira couldn't help but laugh. "There is a reason future Naruto calls you the pervy sage, Jiraiya. As long as the Uchiha police keep a close eye on every women's bathhouse in Konoha, sooner or later, we'll catch you red-handed. Once that happens, a few carefully leaked reports, a handful of witnesses, your reputation as Hokage material will disappear overnight. Of course, that would only be his last resort." Jiraiya was one of Konoha's greatest military assets. Akira had no intention of forcing such a powerful shinobi to abandon the village completely. If possible, he would rather keep Jiraiya as Konoha's strongest protector, just not as its Hokage. The hall had yet to recover from the revelation about Jiraiya when Fugaku suddenly spoke again. "If everything you've said is true, then tell me, Elder Akira, after Hiruzen, does Konoha truly have no one left who possesses enough prestige to become Hokage?" Every elder looked toward Akira. Akira slowly shook his head. "I wouldn't say there was no one. There were. It's just, Hiruzen knew exactly who could become his political rivals. So he gradually removed them from the board." Fugaku frowned. "Who else? I don't remember anyone besides the N.A.N." Akira slowly raised a single finger. "The white fang of the leaf." The moment those words were spoken, the entire council hall exploded. "What? Hatake Sakumo?" Several Uchiha Jonin stood up in disbelief. "Don't tell me. Are you saying the third Hokage killed him as well? Didn't he commit suicide?" Even Fugaku's calm expression changed. "Akira, what you're saying, is it really true?" Akira calmly nodded. "Think about it yourselves. During the Second Shinobi World War, Sakumo single-handedly commanded numerous frontline operations. His achievements were legendary. He had already served as the commander of the Anbu. He possessed both military experience and leadership. If something happened to Hiruzen, he could immediately assume command of Konoha." No one argued. Those were undeniable facts. Akira continued. "Politically and militarily, his prestige across the entire ninja world was so overwhelming that even the combined reputation of the legendary N.A.N couldn't compare. He was the obvious candidate to become the fourth Hokage." Many elders slowly nodded. Everyone knew how famous Hatake Sakumo had been. Akira smiled faintly. "Do you know, there were villages that issued standing orders to immediately retreat if they encountered the White Fang. Even enemy ninja who committed capital crimes could be temporarily pardoned if escaping meant surviving an encounter with him. Such was the fear his name inspired." He paused before adding, "That level of respect was never officially granted, even to Hiruzen himself." The room fell into complete silence. One jonin finally asked, "If Sakumo was that extraordinary, then how exactly did he die?" Akira's eyes narrowed. "His reputation. It simply became too great. The more victories he achieved, the more voices began appearing throughout Konoha. The third Hokage is getting old. It's time for the younger generation to take over." "Hatake Sakumo should become Hokage," Akira let out a cold laugh. "But the people sitting at the top didn't want to surrender power, even though Sakumo himself never desired the Hokage's seat." He paused. "Then, one day, Sakumo accepted another S-rank mission. Everyone listened attentively. You all know what happened. He chose to save his comrades and abandoned the mission. The mission failed." Everyone nodded. "That incident was famous throughout the ninja world." Then Akira suddenly scoffed. "But do you know, What the funniest part is, the elders looked confused. What? Akira leaned forward. The details of that S-rank mission spread throughout Konoha before the day even ended. An elder blinked. What's strange about that? News spreads quickly. Akira didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked toward the gathered jonin. Which of you has recently completed an S-rank mission? Several Uchiha jonin slowly raised their hands. Akira pointed toward one of them. You. Tell everyone, what was your mission? The jonin's face immediately became awkward. He glanced nervously around the hall. Elder, do I really have to discuss it here? Akira frowned. Why not? The jonin answered helplessly. Because it's classified.
Only the Hokage, only the mission team, and the highest-ranking officials who issued the mission know its details. Halfway through speaking, he suddenly froze. His eyes widened. At the same time, every jonin present understood what Akira was implying. The hall instantly became silent. Akira slowly nodded. Exactly. Every S-ranked mission is classified. The information is only known by the participating team and the upper leadership. So tell me, how did every civilian in Konoha know about Sakumo's failed mission by that very evening? Silence. Akira answered calmly. Because someone deliberately leaked it. A jonin immediately asked, "Are you saying Hiruzen spread the rumors?" Akira shook his head. Most likely, it was Danzo, but Hiruzen never tried to stop it. He watched as Sakumo's reputation collapsed and chose to remain silent because it benefited him politically. The elders slowly clenched their fists. One elder finally asked, "But Sakumo still chose suicide himself. How is that connected to Hiruzen?" Akira nodded. You're right, his death wasn't directly caused by Hiruzen, but indirectly, he played a role. Akira looked around the room. Tell me, what was Hatake Sakumo's philosophy? An elderly jonin answered immediately. Those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. Akira nodded. Exactly. He truly believed those words. They weren't empty slogans. They were his way of life. He paused before speaking again. The problem was the teammate he saved. Akira's expression became cold. That man was one of Danzo's spies. He had been deliberately assigned to Sakumo's team, not to assist him, but to monitor him. Several people inhaled sharply. Akira continued. After the failed mission, that same man visited Sakumo, and instead of thanking the man who had saved his life, he blamed him. He said, "The mission was more important. A ninja's life can be sacrificed, but a failed mission can never be undone." Every Uchiha present fell silent. Akira slowly closed his eyes. Those words destroyed Sakumo. The betrayal of the very comrade he had risked everything to save shattered his convictions. He began questioning his own philosophy. He wondered, had I been wrong all along? Were the rules truly more important than human lives? He couldn't find an answer. The atmosphere inside the council hall became unbearably heavy. Akira continued. Meanwhile, the Hatake clan became increasingly furious. They watched their clan's greatest hero being publicly humiliated. They blamed Hiruzen because he never stopped the rumors. They believed if Sakumo became Hokage, the Hatake clan would finally stand at the peak of Konoha. Their resentment grew. Akira glanced toward the Uchiha elders. Just like our own clan, there were members of the Hatake clan who once considered a coup. They had complete confidence in Sakumo's strength. The elders silently lowered their heads. They understood that feeling better than anyone. Akira sighed, but Sakumo didn't want to see conflict between his clan and the village he had spent his entire life protecting. So, he made his choice. He performed seppuku. He died according to the ancient code of the samurai. Silence. Absolute silence. Several Uchiha jonin lowered their heads. Some quietly wiped away tears. Others openly cried. Even battle-hardened veterans couldn't stop themselves. Fugaku himself slowly closed his eyes. I have never, in my entire life, seen a man more honorable than Hatake Sakumo. He should have lived. Akira silently nodded.
Even Hiruzen was reportedly shocked. He never expected Sakumo to actually take his own life. I don't know whether he truly regretted it, but what happened afterward was even more tragic. The room became quiet once again.
Akira continued. During the Third Shinobi World War, most of the Hatake clan's shinobi were repeatedly assigned to the most dangerous front lines, and one after another, they died. The council hall erupted with rage. Damn Hiruzen, that old fox! So this is his will of fire. He preaches about protecting comrades, yet destroys his own heroes. He keeps speaking about the next generation while eliminating every person capable of replacing him. He isn't protecting Konoha. He's rotting it from the inside.
Many elders' expressions became extremely ugly. Even those who had once respected the third Hokage no longer knew what to think. The image of the benevolent Professor Hokage that countless shinobi admired was beginning to crack, and for the first time, many of them wondered just how many of Konoha's greatest tragedies had unfolded because the man sitting in the Hokage's office chose silence over justice.
The council hall remained deathly silent. Everyone was still digesting the truth surrounding Hatake Sakumo when one of the elders suddenly frowned. Then, what about Kakashi? Everyone turned toward him. If everything happened as you said, how does Hatake Kakashi react to all of this? He should hate the third Hokage more than anyone. Uchiha Akira slowly shook his head. I don't think he cares. The answer shocked everyone.
What? Akira sighed. To be more accurate, I believe Hatake Kakashi is mentally unstable. The room immediately became restless. Several elders frowned. Fugaku looked directly at Akira. Mentally unstable? Explain yourself. Akira folded his hands behind his back. You all know Hiruzen possesses an ability far more terrifying than any ninjutsu. He can manipulate people. He wraps everything beneath the banner of the will of fire. He convinces others that sacrificing themselves for the village is the greatest honor. As he spoke, Akira suddenly looked toward one corner of the hall. His eyes stopped on Shisui. Just like he manipulated Shisui, every gaze immediately landed on the young Uchiha genius. Shisui's face instantly turned red with embarrassment. He lowered his head, unable to refute those words. Not long ago, truly he had believed that sacrificing the Uchiha clan for the village was the correct decision. Seeing Shisui's reaction, the elders silently understood. Akira wasn't exaggerating.
Fugaku frowned. So you're saying Kakashi has also been influenced by Hiruzen? Calmly, Akira nodded. After Hatake Sakumo died, there was one person who genuinely cared for Kakashi, Kushina Uzumaki. Several people looked surprised. She often brought him lunch. She treated him like family. And Minato. Minato wasn't merely his commander, he was his teacher. He practically raised Kakashi after Sakumo's death.
Akira's voice gradually became colder. Then tell me, when Minato died, when Kushina died, when Naruto became an orphan, where was Kakashi? Silence. Akira continued. Clan head. You all know how Naruto has been living, a lonely child, hated by the villagers, neglected, isolated. Kakashi was assigned to secretly watch over Naruto. He witnessed everything, but he never questioned the third Hokage. He never asked whether treating Minato's son this way was right. He simply accepted it, as though everything happening was perfectly normal. The hall became quiet. Many elders couldn't argue against that. Akira sighed softly. That is why I believe his mind has long since broken. He follows orders. He no longer questions whether those orders are right or wrong. After a brief silence, Akira changed the subject. Regardless, there is currently no perfect candidate capable of replacing Hiruzen. But there are still several individuals with enough qualifications to compete. He slowly raised 3 fingers. The first, Jiraiya. No explanation is needed. The second, Nara Shikaku. Several elders nodded. He already possesses the support of both the Akimichi and Yamanaka clans. The Ino-Shikacho alliance gives him considerable political influence. Akira raised his final finger. And lastly, the Uchiha clan, the founding clan of Konoha. His eyes slowly swept across everyone present. And thanks to everything we've accomplished over the past year, the image of the Uchiha has greatly improved. Many clans have begun viewing us in a much more favorable light. One elder couldn't help asking, but who from our clan could actually become Hokage? Before anyone else could answer, one of the Jonin immediately stood up. It should be Elder Akira. The room instantly erupted. I agree. Elder Akira should become Hokage. He has both wisdom and vision. He exposed Hiruzen's schemes. He deserves it. Soon, almost every Jonin was voicing support. Akira! 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 An elder slowly raised his hand. Gradually, the room quieted once more. He looked toward everyone before calmly speaking. Elder Akira cannot become Hokage. The cheering instantly stopped. He continued. The Hokage is not merely the village's strategist. He is also the symbol of Konoha's military strength, the one who deters every enemy nation, the strongest shinobi standing at the very peak. He turned toward Akira. Elder Akira carries the Uchiha name, but he currently possesses only a single Tome Sharingan. His prestige alone cannot intimidate the other clans. We need the strongest Uchiha, the one whose power can silence the entire village. One Jonin immediately stood. Then clan head Fugaku. He is undoubtedly the strongest among us. The elder slowly nodded. Clan head Fugaku possesses both strength and prestige. He would be an excellent Hokage candidate. Fugaku immediately shook his head. No, I'm already too old. My generation has passed. He turned toward Akira. I still believe you should become Hokage. You possess the mind necessary to lead Konoha. Akira smiled helplessly. Clan head, the elder is correct. I cannot become Hokage. I'm still too young. And he pointed toward his eyes. I possess only a single Tome Sharingan. My strength alone cannot convince the village. Just as the conversation seemed to be ending, a cold voice suddenly echoed through the chamber. Well said, Uchiha Akira. You certainly know many secrets. Everyone froze. A ripple distorted the air behind Akira. Space itself twisted into a spiral. An instant later, a man wearing a dark cloak and an orange spiral mask silently emerged from the distortion. The atmosphere instantly exploded. Enemy! Every Uchiha present activated their Sharingan almost simultaneously. Weapons flashed. Killing intent filled the hall. One Jonin roared, "Protect Elder Akira!" Several elite Uchiha disappeared in a body flicker technique, charging straight toward the masked intruder. But before anyone could reach him, Akira's body suddenly twisted into the same strange spiral distortion. He vanished. The masked man simply stood there silently. The attacking Jonin slashed straight through him, only for their blades to pass through empty space. What? He became intangible! The next second, the eerie masked man also disappeared into the spiraling distortion. The council chamber instantly fell silent. Everyone stood frozen. What just happened? One Jonin suddenly screamed. He took Elder Akira! Shisui's expression immediately darkened. Beside him, even Itachi's usually calm face became grim. Both of them stared at the place where Akira had disappeared. Neither of them had sensed the enemy's arrival. Neither had been able to react. The masked man's space-time ninjutsu had completely surpassed their understanding. A furious Jonin slammed his fist against the floor. Clanhead, what do we do? Was this Hiruzen's doing? If that old man ordered this, I swear I'll kill him myself. His Sharingan spun wildly with rage. Not far away, Shisui silently activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. His heart was filled with unease. The clan has only just begun walking toward stability. If Elder Akira dies, everything we've built Will it all collapse? The thought alone made his expression darker than ever.
Suddenly, Fukaku's voice thundered throughout the hall. Enough! Everyone immediately fell silent. Do not act impulsively. If we attack now, we'll lose everything we've accomplished. His expression was colder than anyone had ever seen. We are closer than ever to removing Hiruzen from power. If we throw everything away because of anger, we may never receive another opportunity.
He looked toward the gathered jonin. Immediately place a bounty on that masked man. I don't care how much it costs.
Use every intelligence network, the underground black markets, the mercenary organizations. I want his identity. I want his location, and I want every piece of information available. The jonin immediately nodded. Yes, clanhead.
Fugaku took one final look at the empty spot where Akira had vanished. His eyes burned with determination. For now, everyone acts normally. We cannot allow anyone outside this room to realize how desperate our situation truly is. He slowly clenched his fist. But remember this, our objective has not changed. His voice carried unquestionable resolve. We will bring down Hiruzen Sarutobi, no matter the cost.
If you enjoyed this original story,